In 2016, after shopping my manuscript around, I got offered a traditional publishing contract. I took my time, did the math, and then I said no. That no shaped everything that came after it: the books I've written, the business I've built, the way I think about my work and my life. All of it traces back to that moment. And today, I want to tell you exactly why I made that call. Because if you're someone who is sitting with your own version of that question, wondering whether to wait, whether to chase the traditional path, whether there's another way, I want you to hear this. Welcome to the Right Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling romance author, book coach, and founder of Serenade Publishing. I've been an avid reader ever since I could hold a book, and I've spent a decade immersed in the world of writing, editing, and publishing fiction. I know firsthand what it takes to turn a love of storytelling into a sustainable, soul-aligned author career. Each week, I share real talk about writing fiction, marketing smarter, and staying inspired, along with up-to-date industry insights and the strategies that are working right now. You'll also hear from fellow authors, editors, and industry experts who are out there doing the work and making waves. Here, we put the woo in the work of writing, publishing, and growing your author business. Think of this as your creative business pep talk, packed with heart, hustle, and a little bit of magic. So get cozy and join me. Your writing journey starts now. Hey scribe, Sarah here, and welcome back to the Right Podcast. So let's get into it. Let me set the scene. In 2016, I'm a writer with ambition and honesty, not a lot of patience. An Australian publisher comes to me with an offer. It was ebook only, Australian market only. And when I sat down and actually did the maths on the royalty structure, really mapped it out, the numbers just weren't there. Not for someone who wanted to build something. And I want to be clear, this wasn't about the publisher doing anything wrong. It's just how traditional contracts often work. You trade control and a significant slice of your royalties for the credibility of the imprint and the support of a team. For some people, that's absolutely the right trade. For me, at that point in my life and with what I was trying to build, it wasn't. But here's the thing that really tipped it for me. At the same time I was looking at this offer, I was listening obsessively to Joanna Penn on the Creative Penn podcast. If you don't know Joanna, she's one of the most respected voices in indie publishing, and I actually had the privilege of interviewing her recently on this podcast, so go back and find that episode if you haven't already, because she is brilliant in person as she sounds. But in 2016, I was just a listener, and I was hearing her interview indie authors who were doing it themselves, building readerships, making real income, owning their work completely. And something clicked. I thought, that's what I want, not just to be published, to build something. So I did the maths, and then I made the call. I think if I had to distill it down to one word, it would be freedom. Freedom is my top value. It always has been, even when I didn't have the language for it. I did not want to be told what to write. I didn't want to be told when to publish, or how to position my work, or what the cover should look like, or which market we were going to target this quarter. That level of external control over something so personal, it just wasn't something I could sign up for. And I want to say this gently but clearly. That's not arrogance, that's self-knowledge. One of the most powerful things you can do as a writer, as a person really, is know yourself well enough to make decisions that are actually aligned with who you are. A lot of us spend years trying to fit into a shape that was never made for us, and then wonder why it feels so hard. If you're listening to this and you're nodding along, if the idea of handing over creative control makes something in you quietly recoil, pay attention to that. That's information. I'm also going to be honest about something that is maybe a little less noble sounding. I'm not a terribly patient person. Traditional publishing timelines, from contract to book on shelf, can stretch anywhere from 2 to 4 years, sometimes longer. And while I have enormous respect for the work that goes into the process, I know in my bones that waiting 2 to 4 years to find out if something worked was not something I could do with any grace. I'm wired to move, to make something, put it out into the world, learn from it, and do it again. Indie publishing gave me that. It let me iterate, experiment, grow on my own timeline, at my own pace. And look, I know that's not everyone. Some people really value the slower, more considered process. Some people find the traditional route deeply meaningful and the wait absolutely worth it. I'm not here to tell you that's wrong. I'm just telling you what was true for me. Knowing you're not built for waiting is not a flaw. It's just another piece of self-knowledge. And it belongs in your decision making. Here's where I want to go a little deeper because I think this is the part that often gets left out of the conversation. When I turned down the offer in 2016, I wasn't just making a publishing decision. I was making a business decision. I wanted to build something sustainable, something that could genuinely support me and my children, not just creatively, but financially. And when I looked at what independent publishing could offer in that respect, owning my rights outright, building direct relationships with my readers, having income that wasn't dependent on someone else's publishing schedule or someone else's priorities, that picture was so much more compelling to me. The no I said in 2016 wasn't impulsive, it was strategic. It came from a very clear-eyed look at what I actually wanted my life to look like and what kind of business I wanted to be building in 5, 10, 20 years. That reframe from I am a writer trying to get published to I am building an author business, that is everything. That shift in identity is what changes the decisions you make, the way you spend your time, the way you think about your work. It's the shift I wish someone had handed me earlier, but I'm grateful I found my way to it. Almost a decade on, would I do it again? Yes, without hesitation. Has it always been easy? No. Honestly, no. There are parts of running an independent publishing business that are genuinely hard. The visibility, the marketing, the wearing of every hat simultaneously, especially in the early years. There are days where a traditional deal sounds like a lovely idea. But what indie publishing has given me, the creative freedom, the direct connection with my readers, the ability to make a call on a Monday and have it implemented by Friday, the fact that every book I have ever written belongs completely to me, I wouldn't trade that. And I want to say again what I said at the start. If a genuinely good traditional offer came my way today, I would look at it. I'm not ideological about this. I'm practical. The publishing industry has evolved so much, and there are hybrid models and creative deals now that simply didn't exist in 2016. Things change. But the values that drove that decision in 2016, freedom, ambition, the desire to build something real and lasting, those haven't changed at all. So if you've been listening to this and something is resonating, if the idea of owning your work, building on your terms, thinking beyond just the book and into the business, I want you to sit with that. Because the thing that really changed my trajectory wasn't just a publishing strategy. It was a mindset shift. The moment I stopped thinking of myself purely as a writer and started thinking of myself as a business owner, that's when things started to move. And the shift is exactly what I work on with authors inside the Author CEO. I have a couple of spots opening up soon, and I will be sharing more about that in the coming weeks. But I just want to say, watching the writers I work with step into this version of themselves is one of the genuine privileges of what I do. the clarity they find, the decisions they start making differently, the way they begin to carry themselves and their work, it's remarkable to witness. If you feel like that might be the right next step for you, stay close. I have more to share soon. And in the meantime, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. If this episode resonated, I'd love for you to share it with a writer friend who might need to hear it. I'll see you again next week on the Write Podcast. Thanks so much for listening to the Write Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world if you'd leave a review and share the show with your writer friends. It helps more creatives find their way to us. And don't forget to follow Serenade Publishing on Instagram and TikTok for more writing tips, publishing advice, and exciting events to keep you inspired. Keep writing, keep dreaming, and know that I'm here to support you every word of the way.